Hey, Topaz and Robin here to talk about patch 2.5. This patch is probably the deadliest yet for most of you guys' wallets. We have 3 desired reruns in one half, along with a crazy new DPS, and we have Topaz and Lingsha banners as dessert. We have 2 nearly complete limited team comps in banners alone, either a Feixiao Robin Topaz team or a Black Swan Kafka Robin team, and a sustain if you want. Pretty crazy. So if you're quaking in your boots wondering who to pull in 2.5, then I'll try to answer that today with a quick overview on how each unit is performing and when I think they are a good pull. Like and sub if this video helps in any way, I hope it does, and let's begin. Hey, Guoba here today to talk about today's sponsor, Cat Fantasy. It's a turn-based gacha game RPG, and as you can guess by the title, it's got a very specific roster of cat girls and cat guys. And what's cool is they are often based on real cat breeds, so if you have a cat in real life, maybe you could pull for their anime character version to show off your dedication. The art and models in this game are pretty impressive, some character ability animations go pretty crazy, and some are just simple but beautiful. One of my favorites is this simple time stop. But combat is important too, and as I said, it's turn-based. You'll use a card queuing system to deliver attacks, debuffs, team buffs, and more like the crazy ultimate abilities. And if that doesn't tempt you, then the massive rewards might. There are supposedly 1,000 free pulls in this game to claim in the first 2 weeks. You also have a free SSR unit and many gift codes. So if that gives you a good feeling, then be sure to download using my link in the description. Anyway, Guoba out. So let's check out the star of the show, Feixiao. She is another bully DPS that breaks the games and showcases go crazy and she's broken, etc. Whilst I want to wait for future patches that don't show her, I will admit she is very strong and quite overtuned. She is the current pinnacle of follow-up just like Boothill and Firefly are for Break, and just like Acheron and Yunli are for Hypercarry. I also think her kit functions really well, and it has future-proof capabilities, just like Acheron. Where Acheron scales with future Nihility units or fast debuffers, Feixiao could scale with any future high-frequency attackers and advanced supports, and maybe even upcoming summoned characters that they're teasing at. If you don't have a good second carry for MOC or Apocalyptic Shadow, and she can sometimes trash Pure Fiction too, then Feixiao is a tremendous pull. If you have 2 fantastic teams already, like a Firefly and Acheron on either half, a Yunli or Boothill or Ratio comp all fine and dandy, then it's simple, you don't need her. Of course, you're free to get her anyway. One thing people should note is she also has a premium team ready for her on her release, and it is the Exodia team Hoyo has been cooking for patches now. So unless they cook some brand new Jiao show for Feixiao, and I think her name is Topaz, then I think her team is set and done for a while. Which means whilst Firefly and Boothill can scale with a limited imaginary MC, Feixiao may be stuck until follow-ups get another push later down the line. Surely they stop after Aventurine, Robin, Jade, Yunli, Feixiao back to back, right? And for free-to-play gamers or newer players, she is still a great pull because she is a top-tier DPS that will carry your account for a long while on the damage side. However, we do have Robin in the same patch, who is probably much more valuable for you, and the difference between a Robin and no Robin on Feixiao is pretty big. That being said, she has a decent 3 DPS team with March and Moza, which is very free-to-play friendly, the only issue being the Hunt Lightcone situation. And finally, since Robin, Aventurine, and Topaz are all high-value units, pulling for her premium team won't even hurt if you end up dropping Feixiao eventually. Speaking of Robin, she's up next. She is my favorite Harmony in the game right now, and a stupidly strong unit thanks to her team-wide advance. Every game mode relies on action value and cycles for scoring, and what better way to save on that than with everyone acting immediately. Back on her debut, I said you could skip her if you had every other Harmony unit, and whilst that's still true, she has got stronger and stronger since then, and the units that have released have favoured her quite a bit. Since her release, she has had Jade who wants her, Yunli who wants her, and now Feixiao. On top of that, we have many more sub-DPS like March Hunt and Moza. We've also seen the arrival of Gallagher quid pro quo teams, and even Jiao Cho has let Robin become an insane Acheron synergy. Rome is still incredible, but for pure damage amp, she isn't beating Robin outside of Break and sometimes Dot. I think she's still one of the best pulls anyone can do. If you care for dual DPS, she's top tier. If you care for Hypercarry, she's still stupidly strong, and if you care for funny teams, well, she enables some pretty cool ones like Mosquito. For newer or free-to-play players, she should be your go-to pull this patch if you care for meta. Her E1 is one of the best in the game right now, you need a further upgrade damage-wise. If you still don't want her, that's completely okay. Meta isn't everything, another strong harmony will come out again anyways, and singing might not be your thing. Now with Robin out of the way, surely it's onto the second half, right? Nope, 3 reruns, baby! Kafka and Black Swan are both coming back. They are the current pinnacle of damage over time, as the two of them form the current best dot team alongside a Roame or Robin, or Asta for newer players. Now the only problem is since 2.0, Black Swan's release patch, we've had 0 upgrades for dot, so it has fallen off. Robin is a buffer alternative but not game changing for dot. Xiao is an alternative for DPS, but not beating Black Swan in most cases, as he's mostly tailored for Acheron. So whilst Break and Follow-Up have been having the time of their lives, Dot has been sulking in the corner unloved. This could change at any patch with a brand new dedicated Harmony or Nihility unit, or maybe even one day a Sustain that applies damage over time effects. We can only dream. But that will have to wait after both 2.5 and probably 2.6 sadly. I don't think Kafka and Black Swan are the top archetype to go for right now because of the lack of upgrades, but the pair are still meta, and they do make the Dot-Cron team after all, an expensive but powerful team in many situations. And I think Kafka will still always have value as the only dot enabler all the way since her release back in 1.2. Any future sub-DPS that she can enable will make her relevancy go up again. The problem with pulling Kafka right now is that her best team will absolutely want Black Swan, so you'd have to pull them as a duo or pray for a replacement in the near future. And pulling Black Swan E0 alone is even more of a struggle than alone Kafka, as outside of dot, she doesn't have much relevance due to superior amping options. I do expect another shot up in relevancy in a future patch. Kafka kinda just does that. For 4 stars in the first half, we have the brand new Moza, a fantastic sub-DPS for Feixiao and ratio and counter DPS, and a weaker alternative to Topaz if you don't have enough pulls for her. Asta is still a great harmony for starting players, easy attack and speed buffs, and she still sees relevance today for her giant speed increase for 0 sustained comps. Luca is a single target physical breaker unit and decent with super break. He has dot capabilities, but you see him way more often in break due to his high toughness damage and physical element, with his detonates that can proc break bleeds. Now the second side of 2.5 will have Lingsha and Topaz. We don't know all too much about Lingsha, but we can talk about the stream and what it tells us about her future. Now she is a break-oriented support and also fire in abundance, so naturally we're going to see some comparisons to Gallagher. Gotta love seeing the duality of chat. And this one reminds me of the Black Swan Sampo incident. I'll see how she compares to him when I release my guide in a couple weeks from now. First, she looks to have the best debuff cleansing utility yet, a shot above Ho-Ho, except it's subject to a summon. All I'm gonna say is enjoy the heavy debuff enemies they'll release to make her seem more enticing. Secondly, we do know she wants to use her skill to summon Fu Yuan. This means she will not be +1 SP a turn on average if you want her kit to work. So in high SP consumption teams, Goatlager or other SP positive sustains might still be needed. And speaking of high SP consumption teams, E0 Firefly teams consume SP out the wazoo, so it's a weird situation for her. We might get better performance from her, but we might have dropped performance from our Harmony MC. Third, she looks to heal tremendously well with on-demand heals and out-of-turn heals too. And fourth, we also know she increases break damage just like Gallagher, both of them from their ultimates. So she will be designed to beat Gallagher in break, that's just kinda how it goes. But I don't think pulling a new sustain for Firefly will elevate her to unseen levels. Though what about outside break? Because Gallagher has some usage in Acheron comps and finally Feixiao comps now, as well as Robin quid pro quo. For Acheron, Gallagher looks to be better for debuff application still due to his ability to abuse multiplication, and also because he has 2 debuffs. If Fu Yuan applied a debuff, she would be kinda insane for Acheron. For Feixiao, I think Lingsha will actually be pretty relevant and should even be more relevant than Gallagher, depending on how often Fu Yuan can act. Every time she skills or basics, that's a Flying Aureus, but also every Fu Yuan action too. And since Fu Yuan is a follow-up attack, she synergizes with Topaz, sort of like a Venturine, and further synergizes with E2 Feixiao. There is of course still an SP problem, but Topaz doesn't mind basic attacking here and there. And finally, she cannot replace Gallagher in quid pro quo abuse teams unless she has a hidden 100% advance in her unrevealed kit. This is a good thing if you love Gallagher, it means he still has a place. In the eventual summon meta, Lingsha may also be really relevant since Fu Yuan is a summon. Though I would definitely wait and see if that is the case on a rerun, as we are not sure how they will make future units. So to summarize, I think she will be a really good sustain in general, a unit you can pull just to carry your HP bars and forget about them. Then she should be a great break sustain if you don't want to use Gallagher or want to use him elsewhere or want an upgrade. And finally, a potential weaker Aventurine replacement for Feixiao comps and maybe other ones like Summon teams. Finally, we have Topaz, and if you weren't there for 1.4, it was a wild time with Topaz Doom posting. She was obviously designed as an enabler for future units, and with Ratio, and then Aventurine, Robin, Yunli, and now Feixiao, she has got her time to shine. She's a follow-up sub-DPS that has an insane attack frequency on top of a 1.5 times multiplicative damage increase to follow-ups. So when combining that with units that want lots of attacks, like every unit I listed by Yunli, then you have a very powerful team. And if they do a lot of follow-up damage, so all of them except Robin, then even better. Not to mention the fact that Moza, Yunli, and Feixiao all have their ultimates counting as follow-up attacks. You get the point. Topaz is the premier sub-DPS for follow-up dual DPS comps outside of Pure Fiction, and even in Pure Fiction, she still slaps sometimes funnily enough. And Robin together, and you'll make a lot of units very happy and scarily strong. Versus Moza and March, she is still the best in most situations, and she can scale higher due to her being at her minimum versus their maximum pull investment. Well, March is free, but you get what I mean. But on the other hand, since we have two fantastic alternatives, it means you don't really need Topaz anymore for these teams. She is a great upgrade if you want it, but if you instead want to focus on a bigger upgrade like Robin to your Feixiao comp, you can now do that. And Robin works with many more teams than Topaz. I think she is still a nice pull, but she's not alone in her archetype anymore. From 1.4 to 2.3, she was the only unit that could pull off what she was doing. Now I say that, but she is the only sub-DPS with a summon in the game right now, and so she could have yet another push in relevance and usage rate as a premier sub-DPS for those archetypes. This ends up happening, I don't know what to say anymore. Topaz really is playing the long game. For 4 stars in the second half, we have Misha, Natasha, and Guoba. Misha is an ice DPS most of my viewers probably forgot about, but he is still a decent build if you really need an ice carry, since we legit haven't got a new limited ice since 1.6. What's up with that? Natasha is a filler pool that will make you angry when you get her, or meta at least. If you like her, you like her. She is power crept to Oblivion since she was a 1.0 4-star healer made to last one patch. Finally, Guoba is an okay sub DPS for Kafka comps and an okay damage amper for Akron or Ratio comps. The 5 stars are the real prize as always. Anyways, I hope that helps you maybe pick a pull for this crazy wallet squeezing patch. Let me know who you end up choosing. Remember to spend responsibly and avoid FOMO with the brand new units, and really evaluate if you want them because you want them, or because everyone else wants them. 3.0 is coming, and remember how peak Connie was with their releases. So like and sub if you enjoyed this video. Thanks to my amazing YouTube members, thanks for watching, and have a Guoba day.